Tree Talking Time is brought to you by Conkey's Outdoors and Stone Creek Hound Supply. Be sure to check them out for all your hound hunting needs. Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game. Welcome back to another episode of Tree Talking Time. As you heard in the intro, we're welcoming Stone Creek Hound Supply on as a sponsor of the podcast. And today's episode is with Don and Ben Spickler from Stone Creek Hound Supply. Also, if you have not checked out the 2024 Joy Super Hunt, I urge you to go check it out. I was fortunate enough to go down to Texas and be a part of filming that and had a lot of fun. I want to thank Josh and Wade from Joy for that opportunity. Congratulations to John Strickland and Randy Smith for their win with Lone Pine Lady. I personally really enjoyed the video and the way it turned out. I hope you do as well. It gives a pretty good representation of what a competition coon hunt is like. You know, about the only thing that got cut out was walking from tree to tree. After this episode with Ben and Don, we have one more from the Great American Outdoor Show. So, hope you enjoy.
I started out with walkers back in 1980.
Okay.
And it was a line called Spring Creek Rock Breeding. Mm-hmm. And I started with that line, and I established my own line off of that by line breeding that line. And that's the line I've stayed with.
Okay.
I still have one dog left, one coonhound, and the rest are now beagles.
Gotcha.
Old age caught up to me.
Yeah.
When you start taking me hunting, carrying me around was 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I never forget the one time we were rigging from the truck. Dog struck and went, and they ended up. I had to carry him across the hayfield because the hayfield was bigger than him.
Yeah.
I had to go to the dogs. They got treed, and I ended up had to carry him. By the time I got to them dogs, I was soaking wet with sweat.
Oh, I'm
It
sure.
was a memory that I will never forget.
So then the first coon dog I actually started hunting with was Spring Creek Rock female Granny, and my dad hunted her. We probably got her when I was 8 years old, maybe.
Yeah.
And you night championed her out, and then you just didn't hunt her anymore much. So then whenever I was like, why are you gonna make her a grand night? So then, 10 years old, I started competition hunting in the night champion category.
Nice.
Grand nighted her out within 2 years, grand nighted her out. And then we had a son out of her that made him a night champion in 3 hunts. Stone Creek Dynamite Dan. He was a real good dog, real big dog, big blocky head, one of the biggest walker dogs you'll see. And then he unfortunately somehow passed away at a young age. And then we've had, then you got the dog Montana.
I had Montana. She was off of my dogs in the past. Her whole side was my breeding. Mm-hmm. And that's where Avalanche came from. He was a son out of her. And I placed actually Montana even at Walker Days. She was a pretty good hound. I mean, you could drop her anywhere and she would perform just as if she was wherever.
Nice. Now, is Avalanche the one you still have?
No, he died a few years back. That was my dog. He was a lot of white in him. He was different than what we normally have. He was mostly white with a couple big black, brown spots in him, but nice looking dog. But he was probably out of all the dogs we had in the competitions, but he got hunted a lot in the competitions when we traveled to all the events, and I'd take him with us and I'd hunt him there. And I took first place grand night twice at Walker Days, and then won first place grand night Redbone Days. And at Black and Tan Days when I was younger, I won the youth hunt there. And Autumn Oaks, that was back before they had, when you cast, you advance, you actually had to be the top 1 or 2 dogs.
Mm-hmm. Before they did the Grand 16.
Yeah. And he's won his cast every year at Autumn Oaks.
Nice.
But never had enough score to get in the top 2 or 3. So it did. But he was one of our best competition dogs.
Okay. Well, before we get too far into this, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
I'm Don Spickler.
Yep, and I'm his son, Ben Spickler.
You guys own Stone Creek Hound Supply?
Yes.
Yep. It's our 20th year.
Okay. And we're here at the Great American Outdoor Show. I've seen you guys here for every year I've ever come here. So
I think this is our eighth or ninth year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Long show, 9 days long, with lots of people here.
Yeah.
Every day, elbow to elbow, down the hallways, people walking by.
That is for sure. Like, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and he was like, it kind of seems a little light. And I'm like, yeah, you go to the other side. maybe the guide hall was a little light, but you go down to some of the other buildings. Like, it's hard to walk through there.
Yeah, and there's times it gets in our booth here. Man, people seem like they all come at once, and you might have a little break. You can't. It's almost elbow to elbow in here.
Yeah, you guys at least have a nice open booth by comparison to some.
Yep, sure do.
Yeah, when we first started out, we were in the call hall.
Okay.
We were in there the first year, and then we moved to here, and we've been in this spot ever since.
I would not want to be in the call hall.
No.
Real noisy.
Yeah, you got to put some earplugs in.
It's constant.
Yesterday when I was up here, you guys saw I had my son Charlie with me, and it was funny. They gave him a badge that said the boss on it. But when we went through the call hall, he's like, "Can I buy a duck call or a goose call?" I'm like, "No, your mother will kill me."
Yeah.
And we got home, and he's like, "I wanted to buy a call," and my wife's like, "What?" And I'm like, "A goose call or a duck call." And she goes, "Oh, well, thank you." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I wouldn't let him." He had some money burning a hole in his pocket, so I let him come spend it here at least. I was like, "Buy something useful. Buy a dog leash."
We've ran into that, little kids buying coon squallers off of us, and we hear the same thing.
Oh, he wanted one of them too.
Their dad say, "That boy blowed that thing the whole way back to the motel."
Do you guys have them? Because if you
we don't have any squallers there.
We don't have enough footage to bring everything.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I told him, I said, that nobody will have them, so at least I didn't lie to him.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have them here.
So, well, you said you got started, in these youth hunts, or not youth hunts, but night hunts when you were pretty young.
10 years old was when I started running a competition.
What was that like, being a young kid?
It was, people didn't take you seriously at first. It was just some young kid out here in the woods. But before I even hit the woods, there was myself and my dad and a buddy of his, like Rick Isaac, and a couple other guys. We'd go out pleasure hunting, but we treated it as a competition hunt. Yeah. And them two guys put me through the ringer, so I was well ready for anything I found in the woods.
Dad wasn't taking it easy.
We schooled him beforehand, and there was nights he would be mad at us.
Then I hit the competitions, and I knew that scorecard, the rules inside and out. So it was fun, and like you said, a lot of people think, well, just a young kid out there, but we did pretty good. It was fun. I hunted all the youth hunts, and then in Pennsylvania here we had a youth handler of the year. You'd compete who had the most cast wins in the hunt plus the show, and I won that a couple years also when I was in the youth.
I always told him when he first started out he wanted the competition hunt. I said, okay. I said, number one, you got to know that scorecard inside and out. Yeah. And know your dog inside and out. I said, that's the key to winning. Mm-hmm. Having the dog power and knowing that dog, what every bark, if there's an off bark, you got to know why.
Well, I remember in a particular night hunt, I was 10 years old, and these dogs fell treed up there, and the handler in the cast was trying to help me because Granny, when she trees, she's a hard tree dog, and he's like, "Don't you think you ought to maybe tree your dog there, son?" I'm like, "Nope, she ain't right." Her voice, I could just tell her voice was a little bit different. I said, I don't think that's right. And about a minute goes by, all the dogs leave. And he's like, "Oh, I guess you knew what you were talking about."
Well, I believe they treed their dogs.
They may have. I can't remember
exactly. He didn't tree his dog. And a little bit later, Granny, she walks off and goes on. And she did tree, and then he did tree her, and they heard the different locate in her. And he treed her then right away. And the guy says, now I see why you didn't treat your dog. I said, I hear a difference.
Yep. No, and it's important to know that because, you know, like you said, when they're not right.
Avoid taking those minus points.
Yep.
I had a dog years back. This was all back when I was in my 20s. His name was Duff, and he had a locate on him. When he located that certain locate, you could tree him right then and there. And that dog was not budging. And
that was something similar in the avalanche dog I had. There was a couple times we'd be walking in the woods, making a noise in the leaves and everything. And I mean, as soon as he threw that locate, you could tree him with that bark right there. You knew, and you knew the coon was there. That's one thing that I will say about the line of our dogs. When our dogs tree, they have a coon. I mean, every dog misses here and there, but they're very accurate. I mean, you have to have that. It's very, very important in a breeding.
Definitely, especially if you're going to be, successful in competition on it.
Yeah. And that was one of the things, too, we focused with my breeding program was a distinct locate that you could tree them on. Mm-hmm. Boom. There wasn't no locating twice or wait to hear this or that. When you heard that certain locate, you knew you could just tree them right then and there.
No, that's one thing I don't have in my dogs that I wish I did was a distinct locate. Like my dog, he's pretty much a chop track, chop tree, and and it's like you really got to listen and be like, all right. And then even sometimes he's not the best dog because I'm his owner, but and sometimes even on a tree I'm like, all right, I hear your tree but it's just not quite right, like you were saying. It's like you gotta wait, and then sometimes he'll tap a tree a little too many times, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Stone Creek Hound Supply, a family-operated business, boasts over 50 years of involvement in hounds. For over 2 decades, they've been dedicated to supplying high-quality hound gear. Their reputation is founded on unparalleled quality and exceptional customer service. Crafted from U.S. source materials, Stone Creek clothing is meticulously manufactured right here in Pennsylvania. Through their commitment to excellence, many of their customers have become lifelong friends.
I handled a dog for a guy, Roland Lanehart out of Maryland. He had a dog called Machine Gun Patty, and he had me handle her in the hunts. And it took me a little while to learn that dog because she was different than our dogs. I mean, when she barked on track, it was a chop. But, and then when she'd tree, if you didn't hear that triple chop, you couldn't hardly tell if she was treeing or still tracking because, man, she just bark a lot on track and on tree.
Yeah. So what made you switch to beagles then?
Old age. My coon dogs were, when you cut them loose, they went and got treed.
Yeah.
Now, I could go, and then old age, and then I have a lower back problem. I can't get around quite like I used to. Mm-hmm. And where the beagles, they're a little more confined for me. And my son, Roy, he had beagles for the longest time. And I told him, I said, I don't care. I like hearing a dog run. Yeah. Don't care whether it's a beagle or a hound. And what we'd do when it would winter up and the coon weren't moving, we'd run beagles with him like late January and February. And then when I got older and I had a hearing aid problem too. Couldn't hear quite as well like I used to. So it was just a matter of just age, and so I switched to the beagles more so.
Okay.
I still wish I was in my 20s and was could competition hunt. I do miss it, and I do like it.
Now, do you guys compete with your beagles?
I don't.
Okay.
I mostly just run them for fun.
Yeah.
I like hunting them and running them. And we do belong to a beagle club that holds trials there. We're very active in it also. But
well, the competitions, the field trials in beagles, this is AKC anyways. That's mostly what's around our general area.
Yeah.
It's a little different than your coonhound competitions. I mean, you have a handler that you're calling your dog, training your dog and everything. You don't have that in the AKC field trials with beagles. There's just 2 judges following the dogs and judging how many's in the pack, 6 maybe in the pack, and they're judging what they want, what they like. Where in the coonhound competitions, you have a little bit of control what goes on and can handle the dog, and there's none of that in the AKC field trials.
That trial that I came to last year, was that an AKC trial?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
AKC
Yep.
trial.
Because that's exactly what you described is what I saw, and I'd never seen anything like that. I'm used to the UKC night hunts where it's like you said, you're calling dogs, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Like the handler, they're following, but they have no control of anything.
Nothing.
It's like you cut a dog loose, and until the guy tells you to pick your dog up, like.
That's right. And two, like even in some of the big old in AKC, certain judges, you got to know what judges like what style dog.
Yeah.
So you mostly got to go with, like, if you plan on winning, you better make sure that judge likes the style dog that you have.
Yeah.
If you have too fast of a dog and they like a dog that's more conservative, you're out of luck. You're going to get picked up, and they're going to tell you to go home.
Which, for the listeners that don't know anything about Beagle field trials, because like I said, I didn't until I went to that one last, I don't know, May or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Basically you drop in 6 or 8 dogs or whatever, and the judge says, all right, and they have all color-coded collars, and they're like, oh yeah, pick black up, and they'll let the other 5 run or whatever, and then they'll say pick yellow up, and
they'll get eliminated down to
they just weed them out.
Yep. And they just keep going on until they get down to 1. But then, like the UKC, though, their field trials from the Beagles with that, it's more similar to the competition. So you do call your dogs there, strike it, and then there's a point system and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in our area,
there's not here.
There is none. Everything's far out west, part, and there's none really in our area.
I wonder why that is.
I'm not sure why.
I don't know either.
It hasn't grassed here in central Pennsylvania.
Because I would prefer that more than the AKC style. I like, because sometimes the handler, not that it makes a difference, but it could make a difference on how the dog performs. You have a little more control with your dog, because if that judge don't like your style dog, you're done.
Exactly.
And UKC, their dogs are more a hunting style dog. You know, where they don't care if they go off the line a little bit. Where AKC, they want them to more run the exact.
And there's also a lot of variance in AKC depending on where you are. When you get up in the northern area, they don't mind a little bit wider of a dog.
Right.
So it really changes from where you're at. Like central Pennsylvania, you can have a little bit. The dog has to stay somewhat tight on the line, but then there's other places they want them right where the rabbit put his foot down.
Mm-hmm. It's just very interesting to see the differences. And like I said, last year when I went on that beagle hunt, it was completely foreign to me. I'm like, what in the world is going on? Like, I had no idea what I showed up to, and like I said, it's just completely different. So
it takes a little while to grasp it all. Because there's a big variation of difference, especially when you come from running coonhounds and that kind of style competition to the beagle style. It's totally different format.
Yep. Now, in the first couple, I walked along, and I was trying to stay back with handlers, and then I'm like, I was real confused because a lot of the handlers kind of stay back, so then you're not seeing what's going on.
No.
And then finally, I was like, I'm going to go up here with one of these judges, and then one judge kind of was like, see that, and he was kind of explaining. And I was like, okay, that makes a little more sense now that he's kind of pointing out what they're picking apart. He's like, see how that dog overran that? And didn't, we saw that rabbit go here, and we saw that dog run right past where that rabbit. It's like, okay.
Same way with the check. Say they lose it. Well, they want their dogs to find the check right here where they lost it.
Searching a tight area first.
Not 25 yards over there, find it, pick up and go. They want them to carry it from here on out,
Yeah. So you don't necessarily like a tight dog, or do you like a wider dog? What do you prefer in your beagles?
I like them to stay with it, but I don't mind if they stretch a little and find it, but I don't want them going 25 yards over here and finding it either.
Gotcha.
But two, like our beagles, these beagles here, when we first started hunting them, they were young, they would really run over. Yeah. I mean, and after we hunted them for a while and all, they catched on like, okay, whoa, I don't have no scent, and they were coming back right away. But when they were younger, they were running over a lot. But I don't want them running over a lot either.
Yeah.
I don't mind if they run over a little, because I don't like a real slow dog, but I don't want a real fast dog where he's overrunning
Shooting
either.
the turns, yep.
Yep.
Because, I mean, predominantly, we're wanting a good hunting dog. So good medium speed, medium to fast speed that can stay on the line fairly well. But like I said, we don't want them shooting way over, because then you have a lot of breakdowns in the track and they got to find it again.
And when it does come to a check, we want them to find it quick, too. We don't want to be sitting here standing like, well, are they going to find this rabbit or not? You know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we look for.
Okay. Now, the two beagles you got here, they're a little bigger, so do you tend to prefer the bigger beagles?
Sometimes I like the 15-inch, and sometimes I like the 13-inch. We have a granddaughter of Chrome here right now that we have. It's Roy's dog and mine, and she's a 13, and I do like her. And
she's fast.
Yeah.
I mean, she's small, but she's as fast as the big dogs or not, or maybe even faster.
But what's nice with them, they get through the brush, I think, a little easier.
Yeah.
You know, and we have some other smaller dogs, too. We have a couple other 13s. So I have a mixture of 13s and 15s. You know.
Well, and also the one thing that you're looking at these beagles here, something we're doing, trying to start here in this big old journey of breeding and developing a nice looking hound. We're getting Chrome here is a grand AKC show champion, and then his brother's name's Nugget. He's a show champion. We're trying to bring together a really nice looking beagle, how they're supposed to look, and have a good hunt behind them too. Yep. It's hard to find that in the beagle world, where you have a grand show champion and a field champion.
Yeah.
I forget what house. It's been a long time ago. Since there's been a beagle that's been champion in the hunt and the show. Okay. So we're looking to try to accomplish that.
I was wondering about that, because when I went to that trial, like those two beagles right there do not look like majority of the beagles I saw.
No.
Like your dogs look like the dog you see in a dog show. They, versus the ones that I saw were all.
Well, we get asked a lot. Do those dogs hunt? Like, yeah, they hunt. And we wouldn't have them, they didn't hunt. But people just ain't used to seeing a really good, nice looking beagle that's out there in the brush also chasing rabbits.
Yeah. Conkeys Outdoors is proud to be a sponsor of Tree Talking Time. Family, hunting, tradition is the Conkeys motto. They understand the importance of passing down the tradition of hound hunting. They are a family-owned business that treats you like family. They also understand the importance of having the gear you need when you need it. Conkeys carries everything for your next hunt, and it ships to your door quick. They also offer great warranties on all tracking systems and financing options. Check them out at conkeys.com. You can also use the code TreeTalkingTime5 in all caps to save as well.
On my coonhounds, even years ago, everybody used to always say, you always have a good-looking dog. I always liked conformation, but they had to have the ability.
Yeah.
I like a good-looking dog that has conformation with him, plus the ability. You know, so that started even back when I had coonhounds, because I showed my coonhounds also.
Yeah.
And we've had dogs. Well, I had a dog called Ozark Mountain Man that was actually pretty good-looking hound, and he won NKC World with him, and I've placed him in a lot of bigger shows too.
Yeah.
But he also was a hunting dog, and I've always called it dual purpose.
Yeah. Well, even at all.
Hunt and show. I mean, I understand some dogs are ugly.
And good hunters.
Hunting dogs.
I mean, I have a beagle like that right now in the kennel.
Yeah.
She's the ugliest dog up there, but she's the best hunting one right now.
Yeah.
I get it.
And even in the coon dog world, when I had my coonhounds, when I said, I don't like a black-headed walker dog.
Okay.
But I've owned two of them, but they were still good looking, but they were black-headed. I like a red-headed walker.
Okay.
And but they were exceptional dogs. I couldn't overlook their ability just because of black head.
Yeah.
So I do give a little bit of sacrifice in here and there on some issues. But I don't go to extreme with it either. When I do let something slide a little bit, I try to correct it in my breeding program because I wouldn't want all black-headed walkers.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, no, and like you were saying about dual grands, that's become a big thing. I know Automokes that they have a big show, and and hunt. That's a whole big thing. The dual grand.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely this year. Actually, a Pennsylvania native won it. Scott Hogan.
Yeah.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one of his plots.
Yep. He was actually here at the sports show yesterday. He
was?
walked by, so he did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you got any good hunting stories?
Oh my! I'll tell you this little incident. This was with the beagles. We used a drone to video them, watch them.
Yeah.
And then
that's
we watch
cool.
a video later of them, and it's a lot of fun. Roy runs it because I'm not real electronic type person, and we enjoy sitting back later and watching it. Well, the one day we were rabbit hunting, snow was on the ground, and we were hunting, and we never knew this till afterwards. The one guy, he shot the rabbit, and while he was going to the dogs, we telling him, he says, let the dogs come into it and let them know they got it, kind of reward them for it a little bit. And we didn't know, he ends up falls down and slides down this little bit of hill and it's like, well, he never told us that story. And we caught it on the drone video of it.
That's funny.
It was comical.
Well, I have one in a competition hunt. We were, I believe it was Grand American down in South Carolina. This is a few years back, and we drew out to supposed to be a real good spot. A lot of coon. I'm like, all right, that's good. Well, it was right by the bay, and the guy's like, the only bad thing about this is the tide's out, and those coon will go out in there and eat off of the shellfish or whatever is out there.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is with Avalanche, which was with he was a white dog. And
I remember this.
This was probably one of the worst experiences I've had. There was an island out in there. Well, between us on land and that island was just the bottom of the ocean, where the bay now. Well, we had to call timeout. Me and another gentleman's dog was out there. They weren't treed yet, luckily. But we started walking. As soon as we stepped foot in that mud, it was a couple inches deep. Another now is 4 inches deep. Believe it or not, we got out there. We got waist deep stuck in this mud to where we could barely get out. I mean, we had to throw each other a leash of ours and pull each other. I'm like, there's a good chance we get stuck out here and this water comes up. This ain't good.
Yeah.
We got back to the land. The dogs are still out there. I mean, I'm not killing myself trying to get this dog.
Yeah, of course.
But we called timeout. It was already called timeout, so we were blowing coon squallers trying to get the dogs. And a friend that was with me, he caught my dog, and he threw him in the dog box. And the hour actually got us. He had an hour to get the dog. Well, It was over an hour, so we got scratched. And I went and got my dog out of the dog box because I was going to give him a bath in the hotel because I was showing him in the dual class the next morning. It looked like a black and tan come out of there, covered in that dirt. But then also he got out, and it's funny. I was talking to a gentleman, Mike Dehoney. We were at his house maybe a couple weeks before that. He says, them dogs get out there on them oyster bars. They'll cut their pads up. Well, I see my dog was limping. Sure enough, he was laid up for 2 weeks. His pads got cut up bad. I wouldn't believe that. But that was quite an experience.
I'd say so.
Then there was one night also, we were pleasure hunting, and there was a buddy of mine, kind of new to coon hunting, and he said, I got a spot, we'll go. And I was hunting Avalanche. And most all of our dogs, when you unsnap them, when you get them, they're going to be under a tree somewhere. They're not coming back. They're going.
Yep.
And whether the coon's 100 yards away or 2 miles away, that's where the closest coon's where they're going to be. And this was before we had Garmin's. We couldn't. We're sitting there, and they had light collars on, and I see my dog's light collar way up in the air. I said, Nick, what in the world is... That's my dog. He's like, he's halfway up the side of that mountain.
This is a big mountain.
Yeah, and I don't like hiking up and down mountains. And he's like, well, he's just on the first bench. I'm like, oh, my goodness. Long story short, we got up in these mountain roads, got the truck stuck, framed out back in there. No cell service. My phone's about dead. So
you're in the middle of
nothing.
nowhere.
There's no roads, just mountain roads. And he's like, I'll walk back to the top of the mountain. I stayed with the truck, and believe it or not, somebody drove by that he actually knew. He pulled us out. We found 2 of the young dogs actually on the drive back. Well, we're still missing Avalanche. We finally found him. He was a solid chop dog. That dog was treated there so long. He would bark a few barks, then he'd be quiet for 30 seconds. Bark a few barks.
Well, he's even hoarse.
Oh, hoarse. He was treated there probably for hours. And it was in the middle of winter. We had to cross this stream. My pant legs were stiffening up because it was so cold up, because I had to cross this water. Didn't have hip waders on. Got up there, got the coon, and I never met this. Well, it was, what time was it now? Because their mother called you. So that's where we had.
No, I told your mother, I said, Benjamin's not home. That ain't like him.
It was like 3 in the morning.
Now. So we called the boy's mother. I said, Benjamin and Nick isn't home yet. Do you know what you hear from him? No. I said, well, something ain't right. And he says, they probably stayed at his grams over there. I said, no. I said, Benjamin would have called me if something like that was going on. I said, something ain't right. So me and Kim got in the car, and I knew where they were hunting. And I told Kim, I said, that's some big woods where they're at.
Well, then the whole night was just a disaster. And the truck this kid had, the gas gauge didn't work. I said, we're stopping at the closest gas station because the luck we're having, we're going to run out of gas. So we pull in this gas station, and his mom has a high-pitched voice. Yeah. I'm sitting here pumping gas, not in the best mood. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it was late.
This lady comes rushing up on me. Where have you been? I'm thinking, listen here, lady. I don't even know who you are. Just let me. Because Nick was in the truck sleeping.
Yeah.
But then he said,
that's where we met you.
Yeah, you met us at the gas station. It was
about
there. 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It was not a fun night. I mean, them nights of coon hunting, you can have. There's been real great nights, and then there's nights that you wish, why did I even go out there tonight?
I think we've all had those.
Yes.
Yeah. Over the years, there's been many nights I think, why do I do this?
Yep.
Because I always trained a lot of young dogs. Everything I always bred and raised, trained everything I had. And some nights you think, why do you do this? But then the next night you go out and it's like, wow, this is the greatest night in the world.
Exactly.
You know? It's
they do great.
That's why a lot of guys, even when I was younger back then, I'd work all day. As soon as it got dark, I was in the woods every night. It got to the point my wife said, do you think we could have just a night for me? And we go. So I would stay home on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
It got to the point it was Hun night, it was called. And we fool around there, and every night the guys would say, oh, ain't it boring going out every night and every night? I said, no, every night is different.
Yep.
I said, there's never a night the same.
Exactly, especially when you're working a lot of young dogs.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always kept 2 young dogs that I always work with and work them up, and then I would choose which one I liked the best, and then I'd sell the other one.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed training them. I like to see, because you made the cross, you bred it.
Yeah.
Then you got to see, and it was funny how you could see some of the grandparents show in some of the different dogs. You could relate a lot of different traits from ancestries behind and see it. And I enjoyed seeing that progress of breeding them, training them, and then taking them into a finish to a dog. Yep. And it was a lot of enjoyment, a lot of fun, a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah,
you know.
Definitely. Anything else?
Oh, I like going on about stories. There's lots of stories. If you're out in the woods long enough, you end up with lots of stories. Well, I tell you, the one night I had a dog. Well, it was that machine gun Patty dog, and I was hunting her. I had her. She was straight as an arrow, coon only. Well, she went back and was pleasure hunted there for a while, not with me, and I think they left it slip a little bit with the possums. She came back and thought she was going to start training possums. Well, I'm like, that has to be under control because you can't be having that happen.
Yeah.
And we were driving to our hunting spot. We're almost there, probably like 300 yards away. Possum ran across the road. I'm like, stop the truck, because I jumped out and I was going to catch that possum, and then we're going to have a training experience. Well, I come running down this hill, and I'm a fairly big guy. And I run down that hill, and that possum stopped right behind this real big tree. Caught it at the corner of my eye. Well, I tried to stop on a dime. That didn't work too well. I hit that ground, knocked the wind out of me. I'm laying there, can't breathe. My hunting buddies come down running to me, shining my light down. It looked like I was on an operating table with the light shining down on him. And they're like, how are we going to get him out of these woods? Because I was trying to tell him, just give me a minute, can't breathe. Never did get the possum.
That's too funny. Well, I really hope you guys have a good show, and I thank you for guys taking some time this morning to talk to me.
Yep, I appreciate it.
I'm sure I'll see you guys at some more events, being somewhat local, so we seem to bump into each other a good fair amount.
Yep, sure do.
So, well, thank you very much.
All righty, talk to you later.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media, and until next time, keep them talking in the timber.